BBC Radio for our afternoon play, Address Unknown. It's an adaptation of a short novel published in 1938 about the rise of Nazism. The play follows in a moment, but first Anne Karpf introduces the remarkable story.
When I was first sent a copy of Kressmann Taylor's book Address Unknown 6 years ago, I was seriously sceptical about the extravagant claims being made about it. It's a very slim hardback, 54 pages long, really not much more than a very short story. And was it really the classic that the publisher was insisting? The only thing I knew about it was that it was a tale told entirely through fictional letters, that it had first been published in the United States in 1938, became an immediate literary sensation, and then it languished unknown until it was rediscovered 60 years later. And then I started to read it, and what I felt was mounting shock, but also excitement, because it's a chilling story. It's told with a remarkable economy of words, but it's utterly convincing. I've read an awful lot of books about Nazi Germany, but I'm convinced that this is the best fictional account of the rise of Nazism that I've come across. Now, I'm not going to tell you much about it because I don't want to spoil it, in particular because Taylor uses an inspired dramatic device. All you need to know about it is this, that it's an exchange of letters between two people, Max Eisenstein, who's a German Jew and an art dealer and lives in San Francisco, and Martin Schulze. Schulze is his former business partner who's returned with his family to live in Munich. The letters begin in 1932 and they span 16 months. And gradually, as the story unfolds, you begin to realise that what lies in the gaps between the letters is as important as anything actually contained in them. What Kressmann Taylor captures so terrifyingly is how and why Germans were so susceptible to the seductions of Nazism. Under what circumstances can decent, ordinary people abandon ordinary human decency? How can common self-interest end up as a lethal indifference to the fate of other people? Of course, we now know what the end result of Nazism was, but Kressmann Taylor's book allows us to suspend our hindsight and to re-encounter the moment when Nazism first took root and when the unthinkable became acceptable. Kressmann Taylor wasn't her real name. This was the pen name of Kathrine Kressmann. Her story was thought to be too strong to be published under a woman's name. She worked as a copywriter, and in the 1930s she became concerned that no one in the United States seemed to know what was happening in Germany, or to care. And she also wanted to combat American isolationism, the reluctance of the United States to get involved in Europe. Address Unknown was first published in Story magazine in 1938, and it sold out in 10 days. It was then republished in the Reader's Digest, which had a circulation of 3 million, and was immediately banned in Germany. And then, of course, the war began soon after, and the book was forgotten. It was then republished in 1995 by Story magazine to mark the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the concentration camps, but it wasn't really rediscovered properly until 1999, when a French publisher brought out a French edition. That sold 600,000 copies and stayed on the bestseller list in France for 2 years. And since then the book's been translated into Spanish, into Catalan, Italian, Hebrew, Greek, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Portuguese, and for the first time in German. The English edition alone has been reprinted 5 times in the past 6 years. And now, whenever I meet people, I thrust copies of the book into their hands and buttonhole complete strangers to urge them to read it. Because in Address Unknown, Kressmann Taylor shows brilliantly, I think, how the pen can become a weapon. And in its own way, her book has become a weapon too, but a weapon of understanding. Address Unknown by Kressmann Taylor, with Henry Goodman and Patrick Malahide.
My dear Martin, how I envy you back in Germany. Ever since school, the spell of Unter den Linden has been strong upon me. The talk, the music, the freedoms, the comradeship. And now the old Junker spirit, the Prussian arrogance and militarism are gone. So, you go to a democratic Germany. It'll be a good life. Your new address is impressive, and I'm happy that the crossing was so pleasant for Elsa and the young sprouts. As for me, I'm not so. Sunday morning finds me a lonely bachelor in San Francisco. My Sunday home has gone over those wide seas. The big old house on the hill, you're welcome, that said the day was not complete until we were together again, and our dear Elsa, coming out beaming, grasping my hand and shouting, "Max, Max!" and hurrying indoors to pour my schnapps. And the fine boys, too, especially your handsome Heinrich. He will be a grown man before I set eyes on him again. And dinner. Shall I ever more hope to eat as I've eaten? Now I go to a restaurant, and over my lonely roast beef come visions of Gebäckene Schinken, steaming in its burgundy sauce, of Spätzle, of Spätzle and Spargel. No, I shall never become reconciled to my American diet. And the wines, and the pledges we made as the glasses brimmed for the 4th and 5th and 6th times. Of course, you are right to go. You have never become American despite your success here. And now that the business is so well established, you must take your sturdy German boys back to the homeland. And Elsa has missed her family through the long years. And they'll be glad to see you as well, the impecunious young artist who has now become the family benefactor. The business continues to go well. Mrs. Levine has bought the small Picasso at our price, for which I congratulate myself. And I have old Mrs. Fleshman playing with the notion of that hideous Madonna, but I lack your touch in selling to the old Jewish matrons. Your fine spiritual approach to a piece of art that always unarmed them. Besides, they probably never entirely trust another Jew. Oh, a delightful letter came yesterday from Griselle. She writes that she's about to make me proud of my little sister. She has the lead in a new play in Vienna, and the notices are excellent. Those grim years with the small companies seem to be bearing fruit. She asked about you, Martin, in a very friendly way. There is no bitterness there, for that passes quickly when one is young as she is. A few years and there's only a memory of the hurt. And of course neither of you was to be blamed. Those things are like quick storms. For a moment you're drenched and blasted, and you're so wholly helpless before them. I've not written, Griselle, that you're in Europe, but perhaps I shall, if you think it wise. For she does not make friends easily, and I know she would be glad to feel that friends are not far away. 14 years since the war. Did you mark the date? What a long way we've traveled, as peoples, from that bitterness. Again, my dear Martin, let me embrace you in spirit, and with the most affectionate remembrances to Elsa and the boys. Believe me, your ever most faithful, Max.
Schloss Ranzenburg, Munich, Germany, December 10, 1932. Max, dear old fellow, the check and accounts came through promptly, for which my thanks. You need not send me such details of the business. You know how I am in accord with your methods, and here at Munich I am in a rush of new activities. We are established, but what a turmoil! The house, as you know, I had long in mind, and I got it at an amazing bargain. 30 rooms and about 10 acres of park. You'd never believe it. But then you could not appreciate how poor is now this sad land of mine. The tapestries we shipped make a rich show, and some other fine furnishings I've been able to secure, so that we are much admired. I was almost to say envied. 4 full services in the finest china I have bought, as well as a full service of silver, for